In this video, I will tell you about my trip to Alsace, and I will give you all my useful tips. I visited the most beautiful and characteristic cities of this area of France, and I also arrived in Freiburg, which is in Germany. I visited Alsace by car, and that is the way I recommend. The roads and highways are very beautiful, and there are no tolls in this area. To visit it, I recommend you arrive at Strasbourg Airport and rent a car from there. The first city we will see, and the one I liked the most, is Egrisheim. The characteristic of this city is that the historical centre is a perfectly round shape, as you can see from the map. This one you see is one of the most photographed houses in the city. It is not decorated now, but at Christmas it is decorated with many decorations. It is called La Pigeonnière because it was probably once the home of pigeons. There is also a white stork, but we will understand why later. I liked it a lot because the medieval spirit has been maintained in the alleys of the centre. The houses you see were not always coloured, but were only coloured in the 17th century because before that they were too expensive. The nice thing about these alleys is that they are closed to cars and only residents can enter. But as you can see, it is really pleasant to walk. I like how they take care of the decorations of the houses. Don't rush, walk calmly and see the details and how they also take care of the exteriors of the houses. This is the Church of St. Peter and Paul. This church dates back to the 11th century, but collapsed in 1787 and was rebuilt 20 years later. The reason why you saw a stork earlier is that in this city, white storks nest on the roofs of the houses, and in this case, of the church. The thing to know, and the characteristic of the half-timbered houses of Alsace and other areas of Central Europe, is that what you see are the load-bearing beams of the house, and that they are not there for aesthetic reasons. The beams are horizontal, vertical, and oblique. If we move, we also see this fountain. It is the Fountain of St. Leo, whose real name was Bruno Deggersheim. He was crowned Pope in 1949 after having been Bishop of Toul. Now we visit the Chapel of St. Leon. It was built in neo-Romanesque style and was consecrated in 1894. Now let's visit Rickaweir. This city inspired Walt Disney in his film Beauty and the Beast, but also Hayao Miyazaki for the settings of the film Howl's Moving Castle. If you remember the Walt Disney movie, this is probably the house that inspired some scenes of the movie. I can't put the video for copyright reasons, but if you watch the scenes in the video in the tab above, you will surely recognize the streets and houses. This is the Dolder Tower, whose name means highest point. It is one of the most famous symbols of the city. It is a 25-metre high fortification that dates back to the 13th century. The particular characteristic is that the facade facing the village has the appearance of a half-timbered house, while passing on the other side, it seems like a real defensive bastion, Spartan, massive, and with narrow loopholes. The cheeses and sweets are really good. I recommend you try them and buy them. Don't miss the typical Kaugelhopf, sweet with butter, raisins, flavoured with rum and finished with whole almonds. You can also find pretzels. The cheeses and sweets are really good. I recommend you try them and buy them. Now we see Ribeauvillé. This is also called the City of Pipers and Minstrels. There is also a legend about this town. One day, the Lord of Ribeaupierre, who governed the city, met a desperate piper because he had lost his instrument. The piper could not find peace. He no longer knew how to earn his bread and how to support his family. The rich lord, with a generous gesture, gave the minstrel a bag full of coins, then left. After a few days, the piper arrived at the castle with his new instrument all made of gold, followed by an endless procession of minstrels, trumpet and drum players, and tamers. The Guild of Street Artists, as a sign of gratitude, named the Lord of Ribeauvillé their king. Going up the street, we come to the Tour des Bouchers, Butcher's Tower, a historic medieval tower. It is one of the symbols of the city and is one of the best preserved structures in the old town. It dates back to the 13th century and was originally part of the city's fortifications. It takes its name from the Butchers' Guild, which once played an important role in the management of the city and the maintenance of the tower. Now let's see a very beautiful castle located in Alsace, the castle of Haut-Königsbourg. This castle dates back to 1114 and was built by Frederick II of Swabia. At that time, it was in a strategic position for the trade of grain, wine, silver, and salt. During the 30 Years' War in the 17th century, the castle was attacked and plundered and remained abandoned until 1865, when the German Emperor Wilhelm II of Hohenzollern decided to restore it. The restoration work was completed in 1918. The following year, in 1919, with the Treaty of Versailles, the castle became French property. I really liked the castle, and I recommend you visit it because it is really beautiful and very well kept. In the top bar, I dedicate an entire video to the castle. This is the kitchen and pantry area where food and also wine were stored, as seen in this barrel. On the first floor is what I think is the most beautiful room, the Kaiser's room, with frescoes and an eagle on the ceiling. Also very beautiful and well finished are the decorated ceramic stoves present in many rooms, especially the bedrooms. This is the armory. We arrive at the large bastion, which had the function of defending the castle. We can see many cannons used during the recent wars. The view from here is also fabulous. Now we come to Colmar, certainly the most famous city in Alsace. But not for this reason, the only one that deserves to be visited. The most beautiful part of Colmar is Little Venice, where you can see the colourful houses on the river. A nice place to take pictures with the reflections of the water on the river, but also where to take boat trips. When I arrived, it was evening, and there was no possibility to take boat trips, but I recommend it. The Pfister House is also very beautiful. It is a typical Alsatian building built in 1537 and takes its name from the family that restored it at the end of the 19th century. It is made of stone and wood and is distinguished by its two-storey corner erker with a spire and the light wooden balcony with a loggia that frames the two facades. The two fronts are decorated with a series of frescoes attributed to Christian Wachsdörfer, representing faith and justice, German emperors of the 16th century, the four evangelists, the doctors of the church, and biblical scenes. This building is the Colmar Guardhouse. The guardhouse was built in 1575. It is a building in the Rhenish Renaissance style. The main portal has an entablature resting on Tuscan columns, decorated with lion heads. The pediment is composed of intertwined volutes that frame a medallion with a bust. Now we enter the Collégiale Saint-Martin. The construction of the Church of San Martino was built between 1235 and 1365. Due to a fire in the South Tower in 1572, the structure and all the roofs were destroyed. It is considered a cathedral, although in reality it was only from 1790 to 1801. Now we visit Strasbourg. It is a very beautiful city, but different from the others because it is more industrial and has a more urban look. It is in fact the seat of the European Parliament. It has about 300,000 inhabitants, and there is also the university, one of the largest in France. There are many things to see, but in this video we only see the cathedral. The Cathédrale Notre-Dame de Strasbourg is one of the most impressive Gothic cathedrals in Europe and a masterpiece of medieval architecture. It is located in the heart of the city of Strasbourg, France, and is famous for its imposing pink sandstone facade, its astronomical clock and its bell tower that was for a long time the tallest in the world. The facade is decorated with thousands of statues and carvings and is one of the masterpieces of flamboyant Gothic. The pink sandstone of the facade changes colour depending on the light of day. Here it was around 2 p.m. Construction began in 1015 in the Romanesque style, but was completed in the Gothic style in 1439. It suffered damage during the French Revolution and the World Wars, but has always been carefully restored. It has been an inspiration to numerous writers and artists, including Victor Hugo. The stained glass windows date back to the 13th century, some of which are the most beautiful in Europe. There is also the astronomical clock, a Renaissance masterpiece that displays the time, the phases of the moon, and the astronomical calendar. Every day at 12:30, the statues move in a fascinating mechanical show. Unfortunately, I did not have time to see the complete movement, but I suggest you be there for that time. This was the only movement I could see. The last city we see is Freiburg im Breisgau. It is still close to the other cities you have seen, but it is in Germany. The most beautiful and important thing is the cathedral. Construction began around 1200 in Romanesque style, but over time, the project was modified and completed in Gothic style. The cathedral was completed in 1513, becoming a masterpiece of medieval architecture. The bell tower is 116 meters high and is considered one of the most beautiful in the world thanks to its perforated spire. This cathedral was one of the few large German churches not to be destroyed during the Second World War, despite the bombings that devastated the city centre. In fact, the interior stained glass windows are still the original ones. I also recommend you to walk around the city, also because you will see small open canals. These canals date back to the Middle Ages and have various functions, including water supply, to bring clean water to the city, both for domestic use to give animals to drink. They were also used to prevent fires in a period in which many houses were built of wood. However, there is a curious legend that says that whoever ends up in one by mistake will return to Freiburg or even marry a local person. If you like this video, put a like or follow my channel. It's free for you, but for me is very important. Thank you.